Hello, my name's Toby. Thank you for joining us. I thought we could start a new series on this channel where basically we look at American politics from the perspective of the data, the aggregate data, the polls, and basically try and extrapolate some conclusions. Because out of politics around the world, American party politics is absolutely the most entertaining, it's the most crazy, it's the most interesting. And of course, basically anything that happens in American politics has ramifications for the rest of the world, for better or worse. So I thought, in a non-partisan, unbiased manner, let's look at the data, right? And the story I want to talk about today is obviously the recall election in California, where the incumbent governor, who would be running for re-election in 2022, is being recalled. For a variety of reasons. It was started by the California GOP, and it's being spearheaded by people who are unhappy about lockdowns, who are unhappy about COVID restrictions, and all these sort of right-wing talking points that are absolutely out of the mainstream in California. However, there's a sizable base, basically a minority of votes, but a sizable minority of votes in favour of those things in California. And of course, you've got that also supported by some progressives. You've got certain left-wing progressive elements in California who are seriously unhappy with the governing record of Gavin Newsom, who see him as sort of a tool of the Democratic establishment, who see him as too conservative a governor, and who jumped on the bandwagon and spearheaded the recall efforts from the perspective of the left. So Newsom has got attackers on the left and the right, but the real momentum behind this recall right now is from the right. So looking at an average of the polls, I believe Newsom will, on September 14th, he will remain as governor. I think he will. If you look at the average of the polls right now, obviously these things can change. If there's a big event or something to shake confidence in Newsom or instill confidence in one of his competitors, you'll see that change. However, right now, keep 51, 52, remove basically 44. You've got about an 8.6 spread between the two options. And from where that's sitting right now, I think Newsom, whether you want him to or not, is probably going to prevail here for a number of reasons. The first one is this is the deep blue state. We always knew it would be a tough ask, right? The Republicans were relying upon basically a lack of enthusiasm, okay? Because if they just get over the threshold on this, someone with basically 20% of the vote will become governor. And you can see leading here, 12-point lead, 12.4 spread. You've got Larry Elder, and he would be on 22.6% of the vote. If the recall went through, he'd be governor of California. He's anti-mask mandate. He's very socially conservative, very economically conservative, takes very pro-Trump stances, sort of the more radical right end, the more populist end of the GOP. He has a troubling record for California voters on various things, on women's rights, on various areas of policy. The problem is those things are dramatically out of step with mainstream opinion in the US state of California. Someone like Larry Elder would do excellent in more red states, particularly deep red states, but in a deep blue state. And California, if anything, is a deep blue state. This is a really tough ask. And what we've seen in the last few weeks, you see it narrow, right? We've seen the polling narrow. There was a poll here from Survey USA at the beginning of August, right? 51% voting for the recall. But if you look now, the most recent poll, we've got the Public Policy Institute of California, you've got a 19-point spread, okay? Keep 58%. I think what's going to happen is you're seeing the enthusiasm drill up. You're seeing the sort of apathy drain away. You can see that here, right? It's sort of really, there's a bit of energy around the recall at this point, but it's really spread out here. There's a clear direction, and it's a negative direction for Newsom's detractors. And the reason for that is, as it's got closer, the electorate in California has begun to realise if we don't vote to keep Gavin Newsom, whatever our quarrels with him, and I don't think he's a crazy popular governor in the state, and I think there are a lot of reasons why voters in California might want to chuck him out. However, they're looking at what's happening with things like abortion rights in Republican states. They're looking at the people endorsing Larry Elder. They're looking at how far behind the other candidates are and how both of them, Paffrath and Cox, one of them is a Democrat, one of them is a Republican, but both of them are socially conservative, and California is absolutely a socially liberal state. They're looking at that. They're seeing how Larry Elder would be the governor, and they're saying, we need to vote basically against Larry Elder. Now, in a national election, the don't vote for the other guy thing doesn't work. Look at the 2016 presidential election. That was the whole thing. Hillary Clinton. Vote for Hillary Clinton because Donald Trump bad. Because Donald Trump thinks this or that. Doesn't work. But in a deep blue state like California, where voters, a majority of voters, are very antagonistic towards the GOP, very antagonistic towards the sort of set of values the GOP espouses currently, it's too much of a jump for them to risk someone like Larry Elder coming into office. And I think what's happening here is, in a deep blue state, the negative campaigning is working. Now, if I was to point out the biggest weakness, the biggest opportunity for Newsom's detractors, it is the fact that he is running a negative campaign against the Republicans. He is not defending his record in office. And if this does go the other way, and polls across the country underestimate Republican support, so it's wholly possible, I would say it's plausible, it's not out of the question. It would certainly be without the consent of a majority of voters if Larry Elder comes into office, but it could happen if the recall just narrowly makes it. The thing about that is, right, it would be because Newsom failed to defend his record, and it would be because, it would be confirmation of the fact that even in a deep blue state, just running against the Republicans doesn't work for Democrats, which is, of course, a lesson they're going to need to realise heading into November 22, because if they do with, the GOP, they're bad, they're racist, they're insurrectionists, all this sort of stuff. It's not going to work. It's not going to play with the electorate, in my opinion. And I think that is because, as we've seen, campaigning against the alternative almost always doesn't work. Almost always doesn't work on a national level. Will it work in California? It may be about to. It's certainly going to be, even that result there, and I think it could be closer than that. That's a bit close to for comfort in a deep blue state. Nearly half of your electorate, nearly 45% of your electorate have voted to oust you, right? So, as of right now, Gavin Newsom is winning. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if that's going to change. My name's been Toby. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back with another one of these videos dissecting American politics, looking at the aggregate data and the polls very soon. Goodbye.